Hello and welcome to another episode of the Football is Fixable Alright podcast. What am I calling you to? I'm James and as usual I'm joined with Sess and Dan. How are we, chaps? We alright?
Yeah, not bad after that 15th take we had to take.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Forgetting our names, you know.
Oh, are we using that one? Are we in there?
I don't know what you're on about.
I'm here.
That was
at the end. I'll probably put in all of the ones that we did before, where you just forgot our names.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't know who you guys are.
You remember the word hello? That's the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been
I'd enjoyed that when after the hello we were like that stopped. My flow.
You distracted me.
One word. The momentum, I could feel it. I could feel the energy after just that hello. There was a vibe we just broke. Sorry, James. Do apologise.
Exactly. And you should apologise. Today we're going to look at a team that's, not winning very much.
They haven't won all year, have they?
In fact, they've won fewer games than any other side in the Premier League. Yeah. That is, of course, Tottenham Hotspur.
Immediately, I think I'm going to butt in. I know you wanted to say something there, but I'm going to butt in quickly because I know you are anti-Spurs. You hate Spurs. You want them to get relegated because you're an Arsenal fan. And I'm going to be on the defensive side, in defence. I'm going to defend Spurs.
If you are in defence for Spurs, that would help them out a lot.
They would really improve them, actually, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they don't really have many players left, actually.
No. Yes, because Flav, one of the biggest Spurs fans, you'll like to hear this, Dan. Apparently, Flav said that they've got 13 first-teamers out.
13 first-teamers?
13 first-teamers, yeah.
So they have a starting lineup of -2. That's...
yeah,
that's
exactly.
Interesting. Yeah.
Not squad players, not like in the whole first team squad, but we're talking about first teamers.
It's like when Newcastle a couple of seasons ago, they complained that they've got 15 first teamers out.
Hang on, there's the maths don't add up there, do they?
Yeah, and it's usually when you actually look at the list, that you look at it and go, well, that's like 6 first teamers. And you have these like squaddies that you've never heard of. And like, this 17-year-old first teamer.
Look, if you're in the first team squad, you're not a first teamer. First teamer is you're in the first team.
Yeah, that's the first team.
Exactly. But no, being serious, we are serious. But in terms of Spurs do have a lot of injuries, suspensions, because they've got captains that keep getting sent off, for example. All sorts of issues. They had issues with their injuries last year as well, didn't they?
Yeah, so accordingly, I didn't know this. So apparently, I think it's a high number of ACLs in the whole league is about 10, I think, for a season. So the entire league, all the players put together, there's hundreds, aren't there?
Yeah.
10 ACLs in a season is really high. Apparently, Spurs have had 4 in the last 2 seasons. So in terms of injuries, long-term injuries is what's really affecting them, because you could have a player out for 1-2 weeks and then come back. That's kind of okay. But if you have a player out for 9 months, then, that really affects them.
Are there knee ligaments that are kind of like they buckle under the pressure and, they kind of give up at that last minute?
Knees are
almost like Spursy.
That's true, yeah. We should really ask Arsenal players, I suppose. Towards the end of the season, they become very buckly, don't they?
Yeah.
We have a few bottles around.
Yeah.
But I don't think Spursy, no. I wouldn't say Spursy. We're not that bad.
Yeah, well, actually, to be honest, if we want to know about Spursiness, Dan, what did United do at the end of last season?
We avoided relegation.
That was good.
Yeah. I see, yeah.
It was a great success for us.
Yeah, and then it must have been a brilliant success in Europa.
You're in Europe last year, weren't you?
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't...
No, don't remember Spurs beating you or anything.
No.
But, I mean, that is one thing I've got to say in defence of Spurs, like I said I will be in. They won Europa last season, and I know they came 17th, but they won Europa, and they're in the knockout stages of the Champions League this season. So you got to say, I mean, how bad is Europe that the 17th place this season and a club that haven't won a game this year, it's something like 67 days or something since they last won a game.
Isn't it?
They are in the knockout stages of the Champions League.
That doesn't add up for me. It really doesn't. I mean, I don't think it's because Europe is that bad. I wonder if there's a lot of the Spurs fans are saying that the players they're giving up. in the league. So and watching them against Palace the other day, and they just kind of like, some of them aren't tracking back, they're not working their socks off. Archie Gray, I have to say, I really like him as a player. And
he is good.
He's one of the few that I can see really trying, and he's offering something. But a lot
apparently
of the other players,
he's been asked to play in five different positions.
Yeah,
all season, not in one game.
No, well, no, I wouldn't be surprised if it is in one game.
Yeah.
He does play. He's a utility player. He'll do whatever he can. He's only a young player. It's
Yeah.
like his second real season in like first team football. But he'll play anywhere, and he's a really talented player, and having to deal with this on such young shoulders.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
they need more of him. They need more of 50 Shades.
Yeah, if they're lucky.
My days.
Yeah, I mean they've got 13 first teamers out, so if they're lucky, he'll play all 13 positions.
That's a good point. Yeah. Does that mean he's not a first teamer then?
Oh yeah, that's true. In all seriousness, he wouldn't be playing this many games probably if they had all of their players fit.
I remember the first, the second Sunday League team I joined. It was a terrible team, and I played 90 minutes for them every game, and I was playing centre-back for them for some reason. I never play centre-back, but I played 90 minutes every game, and it was not out of merit. It's not because I was good enough to play 90 minutes. It was because either we didn't have enough players because some players were like hungover and didn't turn up, or we just had terrible players that I ended up being the best option to go as defence. And that I'm not a defender.
No, you're not a defender. I know you played right back and stuff, but then you would get forward and be able to take people on and things.
It's like half attacking role, isn't it?
Yeah.
But as a centre back, I ain't no centre back, and so it kind of feels like that, where I think we could probably walk into the Spurs changing room right now and we'll just see how down they all are.
Yeah.
And just kind of think, well, you've already lost in the changing room.
I think that's it. And that explains their form in the Premier League, I think, a little bit. Because, football is a game of psychology as well as tactics and the physical sort of ability of players, all that type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just one thing we can't really measure, that psychological aspect. And when a player's confident, somehow they're transformed as a player sometimes. They can do things that they never do when they're not. And Spurs are at the other end of that. Everything's against them, it feels, at the moment. But they're the makers of their own misfortune because of it, in a way. Yeah.
They started off doing it the wrong way with Postecoglou, for example. He opened up their defence to play a very high line, very attacking game, which it sometimes worked. A lot of the times it didn't, but he refused to change, didn't he? Refused to adapt. Yep. The only time he did adapt was against United, and
he won the
thanks
Europa
to
League.
Amorim. Yeah, exactly. And because of that, they got rid of him, but by then the rot had started, really. They ended up 17th.
Yeah, and I think that as well, kind of, that is, again, going back to that psychological bar, in a sense. Like, when you start losing games, I think United have suffered with this as well. When they've lost quite a few games at Old Trafford, suddenly that kind of intimidation sort of disappears. When teams come to Old Trafford, it's like the scare factor's gone a bit, you know?
The theatre of dreams. Like, no one liked to go there, but
I would say that I don't think Spurs have ever had any intimidation factor. Like, Spurs have always like, there's that famous quote, isn't there, from like Ferguson? Like, we were 3-0 down against them in a game, and at half time his team talk was, "Come on, lads, it's Spurs." And then we went out on 1-5-3. Like,
well, I mean, to be honest though, you would say that because at that time you were literally the most successful English team in Premier League history.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say that there's quite a few other clubs that are a lot smaller than them, and to be fair to them, in the whole history of the Premier League, they did deserve to be considered not necessarily a big six, as in like as successful as the other five, but they were pretty much better than the rest. I can comfortably say as an Everton fan that they have been far more successful than we have in the Premier League. So I would say for the vast majority of the league, they did look up to Spurs. It's just you guys are both glory hunters and you just support, Arsenal and United are winning things.
I'm sorry.
Let's support them.
I'm sorry, you cannot call me a glory hunter now. I am in the pits right now with Man United.
No. This is the case of you making your bed.
Glory hunter back.
Yeah, this is the
case
of
you sleeping in.
Yeah, you've made your bed, you lie in it now. That's it. So you happen to be in a bit of a rut, but you'll be out of it. Try and support a club that haven't won anything since 1995. That was before I even came to the UK. I didn't actually even get to witness that.
Whoa. Wow.
Exactly.
Everton fans really. That would explain why Everton's such a blue and gloomy place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just nothing to.
Wow.
But don't Everton have more top flight points than any other team in English football or something? Because they've been in the top flight for like
Arsenal,
the longest.
Games, not. I wouldn't say points. It's games. United and Arsenal have more top flight points, I think.
Yeah, I think Arsenal are the first when it comes to like the number of games in the top flight, and then it's Everton.
I think. Yeah.
Because we've only been relegated once in 1950 or something like that. We did our best a couple of seasons ago, but we couldn't even do that. We couldn't even get relegated.
Yeah. Well,
I'd argue
Spursy
Everton
then.
were a bigger club than Spurs. I'd argue that.
You know what? I mean, the biggest thing about this conversation everyone has about the biggest club and everything is that I really don't actually care. Fair enough. I realised this a few months ago when I heard this conversation about Everton, Spurs, and Newcastle. Which one's the biggest club? And I thought, you know what? I really don't care. What changes? It's like hearing that your club is the most successful in terms of profit. And it doesn't change my life.
It doesn't affect you in a way, does it?
Yeah.
So you don't brag to your mates about that, do you, I suppose?
Yeah, exactly. It's like Americans when they say, like, yeah, America has the best economy. Yeah, well, you're still poor. What does that mean? You have lots of billionaires, but it doesn't affect your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, talking about surviving relegation, Spurs are currently going through this. Well, they're in the relegation fight now, shall we say?
What is it, 1 point ahead of the relegation zone?
Yeah, so at time of recording, 29 games in, they have 29 points. Yeah. 1 point ahead of Forest and West Ham with 28 points. So they're well in the relegation fight.
And, I mean, we did say originally, a while ago, that we thought Wolves and Burnley are absolute shoo-ins to go down. It's just a matter of which one's the third. But Wolves, I mean...
They look better than Spurs. Yeah. They really do. And that shows in the form as well.
So, yeah, they beat Liverpool. They drew against Arsenal.
Yeah,
they beat
from 2-0 down.
They beat Villa. They had another big scout,
I think they did. Yeah. And they're playing really well.
If I was a Wolves fan, though, because it is a bit too late for them, isn't it? I know they're playing great and they're getting wins against big teams.
Yeah,
but
the damage was done.
So
really, wasn't it?
far down. But I'd be gutted because I'd be watching these wins thinking, where the hell was this at the beginning of the season? Because there's ability there. They're playing really well as well. It's not like they're just getting lucky and getting results. They're actually playing well. So
yeah, but I would also say a few seasons ago, do you remember Arsenal? They got so many points and they were so far ahead, but then they started losing. When Saliba got injured and you started losing points.
Yep.
And everyone said that you guys bottled it and stuff.
Yeah, when they bottled
I kind of thought, I think that was the first.
Bottled it?
Yeah. That was the first season they came second, and I thought to myself, yeah, but those games that they lost, if it was dispersed throughout the season, then you would say, hey, they came second. That was really good. Yeah. But it was just because...
the position we were in at that stage.
Yeah, because the games went towards the end. So with Wolves, if they'd won all of these games, but it was dispersed throughout the season, you would still say they're terrible.
Yeah, that's true.
So why would they be gutted just because of the order of the games they won and lost?
Yeah, from that point of view, I see what you mean. But in terms of, since the new manager's come in, he has organised them in a different way, and they are playing with a real structure. So you watch them play. They play some good stuff. They create opportunities. He's got them a bit more secure. That's more than what Spurs are offering.
They play as a pack, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Spurs are in a relegation fight, and this is... Thank you, Jesus. So this is the part of the episode where we have to sort of highlight the issues with Spurs, right? And the first thing is they're obviously in this relegation battle. And here's their next few fixtures. Sunderland, who are in much better form than they are. Flying, yep. They're playing Brighton, then they're playing Wolves, another 6-pointer. Then they've got Villa. I mean, all of these fixtures, you're looking at them and you think, I don't know how Spurs are going to win
It's either going to be a relegation battle or a team that's doing better than them. So it just always feels like it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, every single one you're thinking, that's a tough game.
Yeah.
And that's a real worry, especially when you think about the injuries and everything we've mentioned already.
Yeah.
And you know what makes things even worse? Even the, what's his name? A Swedish guy.
Zlatan.
Basically, did you hear in the news a couple of weeks back that the Swedish MP, he does this big speech in their parliament about how Sweden are acting like Tottenham Hotspur and they need to be less like Tottenham Hotspur.
Oh wow! So they're even they're using Spurs as a metric in politics.
And he defined it. He used the word. So last season we fixed Spurs, right? Well, so we thought.
Yeah.
We gave them another season.
We made it even worse.
Well, maybe we helped them survive another season. Maybe that's what won them the trophy in the end.
Oh yeah,
maybe
that's true.
what it was.
So we won the Europa.
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly.
So
but yeah, the Swedish.
You are the reason.
That's a good point. Sorry, Dan.
But yeah, former finance minister in Swedish one. This is says Spursy is a term, and he defines what it is about how you kind of lose at the last second. You kind of bottle it, if you like, and he compares it to the Swedish economy. And we've got the real structure to do well. He brings up the Spurs stadium and their training ground. That's like the best in the league, state of the art stuff. But they keep making bad decisions. They sign the wrong players, they have the wrong attitude, and this type of thing. And he compares that to the Swedish economy, saying that's what we're doing. We've got everything we need to do well, but we are becoming Spursy.
I see. It's probably because he's an Arsenal fan. Otherwise, he'd probably say we're being really arsey. Yeah,
he's
it does.
Not an Arsenal. Like, I haven't spoken to him. I don't believe he's an Arsenal fan.
Otherwise,
but this is the thing.
I bet he grew up watching. Freddie Ljungberg. Oh,
Spurs are now kind of being well known around the world for being Spursy, and I think this is one of the problems. This is one of the problems.
They're living up to being Spursy.
They literally have the term Spursy now, which people recognise as you lose at the last second. You're close to victory and then you lose. You end up doing something wrong. You bottle it essentially.
You're probably bang on, because I think I remember a while ago, like quite a few seasons ago, Jermaine Genius, someone was talking about how it just felt like, because they were always the butt of those kind of jokes that Spurs never win, it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly.
Same as Arsenal and bottling.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But when you pair that with really bad decisions, fortunately Arsenal have made a lot of decisions and they're building things in the right way, which can hopefully counter it.
Spent a lot of money
as well.
Yeah.
Spurs, they pay lower wages than the Big Six, or the rest of the Big Six, so they're not attracting the top players in that sense. They're hiring, how many managers are they on this season already? So they had Thomas Frank, didn't they, have to replace Ange?
Yeah.
He's gone. They brought, they're in the Tudor period now, aren't they?
Yeah.
In terms of, and that seems to be causing a bit of issue. The players aren't relating to him. Van de Ven's disagreeing with what he's saying on the pitch. You've seen that clip go viral.
Yeah.
It just seems like every decision they make is going wrong for them, you know?
Yeah. We should probably ask the expert on making bad decisions. Dan, when it comes to making bad decisions, you know when you guys stuck with Amorim for 14 months?
Yeah.
What do you think is the reason why a club can make such silly decisions like that, to stick with someone who clearly is doing the wrong thing, has openly said he won't change from the system that is already wrong, and everyone knows it's getting worse and worse? What do you think is going through the minds of the club owners to stick with someone like that?
Probably that he's doing some good stuff behind the scenes.
Of course, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
great, thanks. Back to the studio.
That's real insightful stuff.
They literally have no other option because they don't want to do anything else. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, I think they said they quite openly said, didn't they, that they wanted to wait till after November because otherwise they would have had to pay him more compensation or something like that. There was something about that.
That sounds like the Jose Mourinho thing as well. Do you remember when they sacked Mourinho before the League Cup final, so they didn't have to presumably pay him the bonus if you won the trophy? This is the decisions that Spurs are making. They're a club that's focusing on... they're great for NFL and music shows, apparently. They're a great venue. They're a business, and that's what Levy, is it? Daniel Levy? Before he left them earlier this season. That's what he really managed them as. He was a very profitable club and all of that, well run in that sense. Yeah. But it's decaying what's going on the pitch.
Yeah, he needs to go back selling jeans.
So there's been a lot written about it, a lot written about Spurs, and something I saw in the last week was how... Are Spurs actually in the Big Six? You know this kind of phrase, Spurs are a Big Six club.
Yeah.
Based on the last 10 years, statistically, they aren't.
As in the top six or Big Six?
Yeah, in terms of the top six anyway,
okay.
If you think of it like that.
Yeah, but based on the last 10 years, the top six is very different, isn't it? I don't think United would be in the top six based on the last 10 years.
So, done some analysis, because I work very hard like that, you know.
You asked ChatGPT.
I didn't actually. It was a video I saw. But so City are in the last 10 years the biggest in terms of most successful and all that type of thing. Yeah. Then you have Liverpool. Mm-hmm. Then Arsenal are in third. I think Chelsea were 4th and United were 5th. But in 6th place, it was Aston Villa. In terms of how many points they've gained and that sort of thing, essentially. So Spurs aren't actually achieving like a Big Six club.
Well, I mean, the thing about the Big Six is they call it the Big Six, but they don't mean the top 6, do they? They just talk about the Big Six because the revenues there was such a big gulf between Spurs and then the next club. I'm assuming it's Villa then. Such a big gulf that they called it the Big Six, didn't they?
I guess, yeah. Well, it's been over many years, isn't it? The Big Six. I suppose those 6 sides were most often finishing in the top 6, weren't they? More often than not.
Yeah.
But Spurs in the last 10 years, that's what I mean. The last 10 years, there's been that change.
Yeah.
So they've kind of held on to the Big Six label, but not factually, really speaking.
Yeah, and this is the thing I've told you guys about, the whole big club concept. There's so many conversations around, we're a big club, we're a bigger club than you. I support a club that is historically, they have a big history, Everton, but we don't really have a great present, and there's so many conversations about, are Spurs bigger than Everton? Is Newcastle bigger than Everton? And I don't care.
Don't care. Yeah.
It really doesn't matter at all. Like, why does it matter if I know that my club has more fans or makes more revenue than Newcastle? Doesn't change my life at all.
I agree with
true.
that, actually.
Yeah.
But
I do agree with that, because even as a United fan, right, like every time I hear like our revenues and seeing where we are on the most the biggest earners as well, I couldn't give a monkeys. I could not care less. I don't want to be the highest revenue team. I don't want to be the biggest. I just want to be winning.
Yeah, exactly. If you were a Chelsea fan, there's so many Chelsea fans that want to argue with Arsenal fans about who's the biggest London club. Chelsea fans should just say, well, I don't care. We have been by far the most successful, not just London club, but English club in the last, I think, 30 years or something, isn't it? They've won the most trophies. At the very least, Arsenal versus Chelsea in terms of trophies, not even close. So why don't Chelsea fans just focus on that instead of going, we're the bigger club. Oh, no, let's look back at our history, because Arsenal go, we won a trophy in 1930. You've got to remember that.
Yeah, and although it might seem like I was just making a dig, which obviously I wasn't.
Yeah.
My point is, I think the whole Big Six thing is adding more pressure and almost arrogance to how they think they should be performing. And the players there, I think, have opted out of playing like that. There's nothing to fight for in the league now other than survival. And you can see that Van der Ven's been a disgrace. Romero's been a disgrace. Some of the challenges they're putting in, they're opting out. You need your big players to stand up. And this is what a lot of the Spurs fans I've heard have been saying as well.
Yeah, to be fair, they all need to stand up. Otherwise, they'll just be sitting the whole game.
Yeah, that'd be difficult.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I just wonder whether that label of the Big Six is almost like a disguise where players who play for them think, I should be here, we should be a Big Six club, but as we're not now competing near the top, I'm kind of giving up. And that kind of attitude, I wonder if that's kind of seeped in as a toxic kind of atmosphere in the club now.
Probably. They're also hiring the wrong kind of people, I would say, because a while ago, a few seasons ago, they took Richarlison from Everton, and he played well for us, but we were quite a low team at the time. Yeah, so he did stand out, and he is a decent player, but the thing is, he's not a player that you can build a team around.
No.
And that's what they were hoping to do. And it didn't work out, so they were trying to find someone else. And they spent like 67 mil or whatever on Solanke, and then Solanke just went off injured. And
I think he's been okay for them, Solanke, but he's not top level, is he?
No.
I do really
And when you think they lost Kane and Son.
I do really enjoy Richarlison's ability to score a pointless goal, though. It is...
Oh, yeah.
It is fantastic. Every single goal he scores is just pointless.
And then he cries and he takes his shirt off and he's celebrating like he won the World Cup.
Yeah, any really important goal he scores is ruled out for offside. It's a fantastic combination of things. I do enjoy that. I'm going to miss that.
I didn't mind too much when we sold him. Yeah, I didn't mind at all when we sold him. We sold him for about 50 mil or something. That went towards paying the debts that we were accumulating. And I don't think we really missed him too much.
And I think their decisions have also gone on to their kind of managers as well. I was saying like how much I love Thomas Frank in recent seasons, what he did at Brentford, and I love Brentford as a neutral, what they've done as a club. They signed Thomas Frank as manager, and his style of play just doesn't fit what Spurs, the players they have for a start. That Spurs have always been kind of there's been a lot spoken about kind of style of play in terms of what is their style, when you think about what Chelsea style was like, kind of, it was always just win at all costs and that type of thing. And Arsenal was kind of like this fancy Wenger ball, and obviously that's changed recently.
Yeah.
Spurs have always been someone who quite entertaining to watch, not necessarily successful, but entertaining.
For neutrals especially, it's always been, it's not as though they were everyone's second favourite team or anything, but they were always
entertaining.
Team that everyone could find interesting to watch.
And Thomas Frank, like, he likes to set up in a very locked kind of organised back, 4-4-2 when they're defending, for example. Defenders, everyone has really tight, strict responsibilities. With the Spurs players that they had, it just didn't seem like it was a natural fit. But you're like, okay, maybe he can adapt, and maybe he just didn't have the resources at Brentford or whatever. And then as the season goes on, we're seeing him perform, whether you put it down to just him, I'm sure it's not just Thomas Frank, but how Spurs...
I was going to say how you were talking about Thomas Frank being such an amazing manager, but the team didn't suit him. Well, you were very critical of certain other managers for not being flexible and not changing their style, right? So, like Ten Hag and Amorim, the Man United managers that you hated so much because they couldn't adapt and all that. Well, I think Thomas Frank has quite clearly now put himself in that pile, hasn't he? So, is he that good a manager?
I think it is more confusing than that, but you make a good point. I do think that his style of play that he worked with at Brentford doesn't work at Spurs, and I'll stand by that, but maybe he should have adapted for the players that he had. I do like Thomas Frank and his attitude and how he galvanises and tries to be very positive, arm around the players. But it was a massive failure, no doubt, at Spurs. It was very disappointing.
Still far more forgiving towards Thomas Frank than you are of Ten Hag and Ruben Amorim, though, aren't we?
I'm surprised he hasn't brought Ten Hag into this, really. Yeah.
Don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing wrong with... No thoughts on any of that.
Fair enough.
Should we go to the halftime head scratcher?
Yeah. I just want to say this one thing. And finally, I just wonder if Spurs want to actually get relegated, because if they go down to the Championship, they could then actually be a Big Six club down there.
Yeah, true.
Big
Six.
Then they'll be in the Big Six down there, wouldn't they? And they could
stay. They'll be able to play with Man City next season.
Yes. Yeah. See, it's all going to work out for them. But yeah, we're going to have to get on to some real fixes shortly. But after a half-time head scratcher.
Good day, it's time for another half-time head-scratcher, and it's World Cup year. Needless to say, a certain tangerine-shaded man-baby obsessed with gold will almost certainly try to steal it. And it would be the first time a World Cup was stolen. The Jules Rimet trophy was stolen in 1966, but what was the name of the heroic pooch that found it again? Answer coming up. Hello, we're back from commercials. The answer to the question that I posed you before the break, the dog was called Pickles, who found the World Cup in a hedge in South London. Sadly, barely a year later, Pickles got himself in a pickle, chasing a cat, and ultimately ended up strangling himself on his lead. If only that black cat had stayed in Sunderland.
Cheers, Coopy. Right then, so now we got to the serious stuff. Fixing Tottenham Hotspur. Right. And as we say, we've got a lot to work out here because, we're running out of games in the season before they get relegated. It looks like they're going to get relegated, on form at least. They've got injuries coming out of their ears. They've got a Big Six label that seems to be weighing them down. Where do we start? Where do we go?
I think...
Oh, and they've also got Swedish MPs using them as the butt of jokes.
Yeah, the Swedish Arsenal fan.
Soon there'll be IKEA flat packs named after them.
So what are we doing then? What are we fixing? I've got a few fixes.
I have...
But I don't know if you want to say some first.
I would like my fix first, if that's okay. So my fix is quite simple. My fix is they get relegated. And my theory behind this is... they get all of the Spursy out of them. I feel like if they really ultra dive, then maybe it will just like get all of the Spursy out of their system, and then they might stop being Spursy. That is.
So your fix to stop them from getting relegated is to get them relegated.
Yes. No. I like his thinking. I like your thinking, Dan. I think Dan's looking at the bigger picture. He's not just looking at this season. He's looking at Spurs as a club.
No, you're saying this because Spurs can get relegated.
No.
I think... No.
I think look at the smile on your face when he said that they can get relegated.
This is very serious.
Think about it. They finished 17th last season. If they just survive relegation, there'll be another like relegation battling team year on year, like Everton were for a little while. You know, then
do you think?
Yeah, but we never got relegated, and we're 8th now.
Yeah, but that's because you got Moisey, and he's a legend. But so what I'm saying is.
So Spurs need Moyes as their manager?
No.
Yes, that would be also a good thing.
He's taken Moisey away from me.
So what I'm saying is they get relegated, get it out of their system this season, and they come back, and then they might actually start being able to climb their way back up again. So one-time relegation might fix them. That's what I'm saying.
I would say that it won't work because of their wage structure and the players they have. If they get relegated, they're going to lose all of their best players. Your Van der Vens, your Romeros, Pedro Porro, probably even Solanke, Richarlison, big players for them.
They're not doing them much help right now, are they?
No, but the thing is, they'll have to get rid of them, and then the replacements that you get, maybe you might get a bit of a burst in the beginning, but the thing is, I think we need to find a way to get the best out of players they've already got, who are proven, in a sense. They've proven they can be at a certain level, but they're not achieving now. If you get them relegated, then I would say there's so much about financial issues that I think will just drag them down. Look at Leicester.
You make a good point, and in the news this last sort of week or so, there's been some figures reported that it will be around a £250 million hit on their finances if they got relegated.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's a lot for them because I don't really know what that means. It's like, whenever you hear in the news, like, oh, it's £1 trillion deficit. And I think, okay, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing?
You know what?
Well, I can tell you, Seth, with confidence, it's a bad thing.
Okay.
That's all you need to know.
This is the deficit in the money loss in going to the Championship is another argument for them to be relegated. Because right, this is why they're going to fill that void of money with trying to get even more people in to fill the venue. So they use it for like Beyonce and all that, right? So they're going to get all of the A-listers across the world into the Spurs stadium. We're going to have some proper quality concerts there for a year while they're in the Championship to make the funds. So actually, we could really enjoy that.
But don't they have to play more games when they're in the Championship? Because it goes from 38 to 46, and they're still in the League Cup and FA Cup.
Well, then, I don't know, some incredible halftime shows.
But they won't be in Europe unless they win the Champions League this year. So that would be a very Spursy thing to do, actually, wouldn't it? To get relegated and then win the Champions League.
Yeah, but then Champions League, like you play 8 games in the group stages, don't you? But then a lot of teams get relegated from the Champions League.
Yeah.
So those 8 games, instead of playing in the Champions League, they're playing it in the Championship, which probably would be more difficult for them because it's an extra 8 games.
I do wonder, actually. I like Dan's
That's a good point, actually, about the Champions League. Sorry, James. That's a very good point. I wonder if Spurs fans would take relegation if it won them the Champions League to have bragging rights over Arsenal.
They won't be winning the Champions. I won't be having that. Our podcast is revered around the world for being realistic, analytical, funny.
It's the 57th most popular football-related podcast in Australia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're not at that level for no reason. So I'm not having us talk about Spurs potentially winning the Champions League as if that's a realistic achievement, right? But I do wonder if Dan is onto something. By Spurs getting relegated, they could actually win a trophy by getting promoted again. So they could actually win a trophy. And I wonder if they do the same thing. When they won against Man United, they won the Europa League.
Oh, yeah. You remember that, Dan?
And then what Spurs fans were saying was they were champions of Europe. So I wonder if they win the championship in the second division of the English leagues, they could then say they're the champions of England.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and suddenly they're filling that trophy cabinet after being bare for so long with all sorts of trophies.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I mean, they got to win something, I suppose. But I still think if they get relegated, the snowball effect from the financial deficit, I reckon that's something that they can't recover from easily.
That
I reckon the bigger the
problem.
club, the more difficult it would be to bounce back.
The bigger they are.
Exactly.
But are Spurs that big? Anyway, but yeah, no, it would be a massive hit, especially with the gulf between the Premier League and Championship.
Yeah.
So that's a very true point. But I've got another thing which might help them, and that is they need to change their name. If they stop being called Tottenham and they don't associate themselves with Spurs or Spursy, I wonder if that would lift them as well.
Yeah, yeah. If they just take the Hotspurs away from their name and they just stay Tottenham,
And then
you can't be called Spursy.
Yeah, what are people going to go? No, Spurs isn't our name.
Yeah, you can't say,
or
they're
just
so
take
Totti.
off.
Yeah, Totti.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that? Exactly.
He's an Italian footballer.
Just
There you go. And he was
take
brilliant.
off the Spurs. So then there's the Tottenham Hots.
The Tottenham Hots. Oh yeah, these teams.
Tottenham
These teams are
Tottenham
like
Hots.
really hots. Or so, you know what you can't insult them with that.
Yeah.
That's not in the dictionary like Spursy is.
That's a good point. You take away the word,
That's a good point.
famously, bullying stops, doesn't it?
Yes.
That's a very good point.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, so Dan's recommendation is they get relegated. I think we need to stop calling them a Big Six club, and we change their name from Hotspurs or Spurs. And my other fix is to put you in their defence, as we established earlier.
For me. yeah, me and that. Can I just say, you guys basically are saying to either get them relegated or stop calling them a Big Six club.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to come in with an actual fix. And I'm going to...
How dare you?
I am going to bring in Sean from the House of Deitch. I reckon they need a manager who is just going to... He knows what it's like to fight a relegation battle. If you bring someone in like, Chelsea would be like, oh, we need a winning manager. We'll bring in Frank Lampard, who has no idea what it's like to be a winning manager.
Yeah.
That's the kind of wrong mentality to have. And so for Spurs, if they think... It would be great to have Pochettino as manager, but the thing is, Pochettino has never, even in his playing career, has never battled relegation. So what's the point in bringing him in, thinking that he will fight a relegation battle? However, Deitch, I mean, we know his fear of attack. He will not allow them to get past that halfway line.
Yes, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
It would be all-out defence.
At the moment, they're just losing. They're capitulating.
Yep.
Deitch will get them those 0-0 draws that are desperately needed.
There'll be points on the board.
Exactly. If they get 8 draws, that's 8 points they can add there. Then that might be enough to keep them up.
The only thing is, it would mean replacing their new manager, Igor Tudor.
Yeah.
And that would mean we have no way to make jokes about them being in the Tudor period anymore.
Well, I mean, the Tudor period did end.
Well, not for Spurs. They're kind of in the Tudor period now, aren't they? They've gone back. And they are now living in the kind of some awful era of time.
True, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, they're stuck in a Deitch.
Yeah.
So there are fixes for Spurs. It's certainly going to be a conquest to get them out, isn't it?
It will be.
Get it like a Tudor joke? You get it?
Conquest?
Oh, I see.
The Tudor conquests and stuff? They probably conquested, didn't they?
Conquested, not conquered.
Conquested. They probably conquered, didn't they? They conquered things.
There was. I don't think they did. I don't think there was a lot of conquering with the Tudors. I think it was a lot.
I mean, technically it was. Henry Tudor was banished to France, wasn't he? And he came back to fight Richard III in the War of the Roses.
Yeah, fair enough.
The Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. So that started the reign of Henry VII in the Tudor period. So technically you could call it a conquest. Yeah.
You don't get this on most podcasts, do you?
Fascinating history. Wonderful.
So there you are. There are our fixes for Spurs. Very serious ones. And if you were any doubts if the Tudor period had any conquests in it, we now know the answer to that too.
Yeah.
They could rename their stadium the Globe Theatre after Shakespeare.
Well, wouldn't they call it the Shakespeare Theatre if it's after Shakespeare?
Oh, yeah. Fair.
I do have one final fix, and that is two actually. Can we replace Dan? And second, I do think they need to replace their captains. I think they need to. You can't build a house on sand. You need to have reliable captains. At Arsenal, we got rid of players that weren't buying into the philosophy, that had the wrong attitude. We had cliques and things going on in the dressing room. Arteta got rid of that, and look at us now. Romero, despite what one Spurs fan keeps telling me, he's brilliant, he's better than Saliba, he is a liability, he's volatile, and he is not someone who should have the armband. And he's someone.
But what
who
about Romero?
So they need to put... I think they need to... No, I'm not going to say give it to Archie Gray, but eventually he could be a Spurs legend. So you want to build the team around him. I'm not saying make him captain just yet, but you want to give the captain's armband to... Oh dear. Solanke,
I suppose if
maybe?
I'm going to be in the team, then to give it to me.
I might... Actually, I might give you the captain's armband if you could stay in their defence. Because you probably have more experience than most of their defenders now anyway.
I mean, you're never going to be like a top 3 team with a captain that's, just constantly arguing and moaning and stuff, Like, look at the third team from the top now, Manchester United. You're not going to, wait, you have
they do have.
Yeah.
Maybe you can.
I reckon captains nowadays, it means nothing. It used to mean something to be a captain, but now I don't think so. There's even a rule now where only captains can talk to the ref, and they've forgotten about that.
That never happens. It was a rule for a few weeks.
Yeah.
But they
it was a lovely few weeks.
Yeah. Maybe we should fix captains moving forward, actually. That could
That's
be a
good
future
idea.
episode.
But
there we are.
Hook or Jack Sparrow.
So, thanks both of you for helping me solve Spurs. It's obviously a terrible shame, the situation we can find Spurs in right now.
Stop smiling.
And we certainly hope they don't get relegated. With all my heart, I hope they don't.
Yeah, right.
And there you are. That's your lot for this week. Thanks for listening, everyone. And happy Spurs. Happy week. See you later. It's goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.